You got your safeties on? Another fun project, we got a wood chipper. It's a DR, 10 horsepower. Of course it doesn't run, but don't tell that to the guy that I bought it from who claimed it ran good. Whole story behind that, we'll go into that in a second. But we're gonna get this running and up and going and talk a little bit about chippers. So this is one of those things, you show up to the guy's house, tells you it runs good, everything works. Guess it was his father-in-law's. So he turns on the gas and he's talking to me and he just starts pulling that rope 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. And I start noticing the gas dripping, but now it's just entertaining. It's cheap enough that it doesn't matter if it runs or not, but he swears this thing runs like a dream. So I'm just sitting here watching, just waiting for him to say something about the gas just pouring out, because he obviously has to know about it because he turned this on and off. But it just sits there. He had to pull that 30 times. Finally he kind of gives up, swears to me it runs, doesn't know why. But yeah, I'm like, you gonna do something about the gas leaking? Why don't we shut that off? You know? Oh no, that's just, it just flooded itself. I'm like, hey, work with me a little bit on the price. I mean, the price it was, you know, it should have been running. Not a big deal. Either way, probably have to clean the carb no matter what. But no, I'm like, what about the pouring gas? He's like, oh, I got a chunk of fuel line in the garage. That's like 10 cents. I'm like, really? Okay. So ended up negotiating a price, which was fair, but walked away with it. It's just funny. So many people, when something just, if it just starts, it doesn't matter how crappy it runs, when it's a power equipment, like a lawnmower or something, they think it just runs great. I mean, we can see this. I don't know if you guys can see that. That fuel line's completely rotted. I want it as hard as a rock. Take that off. Take off our governor and our spring. Yeah. You can just smell a carburetor when it has old fuel in it. It's been sitting forever. And this one smells like just that old varnish. Said it was his father-in-law's. There is something that I like about older people, and it seems people that are probably over 70 now, is you guys, if any of you guys are watching this, you guys used to keep the manuals for everything, all the paperwork, all the documentation. The younger generation doesn't do that. Nobody does that. They just take it, they throw it away. So I actually like when I go out and they have all this stuff. Sprayed through all the passages. I did have my idle passage, which is always the smallest, is generally clogged. There's an air bleed right here, and it goes behind the main butterfly, but then it picks up fuel from the bottom. And that's almost always clogged on all carbs, so that'll cause surging. So we'll just get that back. Put this back on. Pretty basic. Got a spring here. There you go, no parts necessary. I would say out of 200 carbs that are repair, maybe 1 needs parts. Everything else just needs cleaning. I actually want to try a new tool. I recently bought this. Just kind of an impulse buy. I think it was only like 17 bucks or something off Amazon. And what it does is it gets these little clamps like this. Probably meant more for automotive. But you ratchet it. Squeeze the handle. I'm like, I don't know. It's on there. Let's see. Fuel line's on. Push that down. Whoops, I went too far. Well, this is a good example of using it, I guess, right here. This one's not bad, but sometimes it's really in there. Oh yeah, that works pretty slick. The gas is on, it's not pouring out fuel. The guy pulled it 30 times. Let's see if we can do it in 1 attempt. Choke. All with fired. Let's half choke. I'm losing spark somewhere. I can hear it cutting in and out. That's not carburetor. Oh, that is hilarious. Okay, you guys got to see this. So the plug looks fairly new from the outside, so I was thinking that it's just carbon fouled because they've been running it on choke forever because the carburetor was clogged. Nope. We did the old trick where you drop it right before you install it. You smash over the tip and then you still install it. So we'll clean that up, straighten that out, and throw it back in. There you go. You want to decarbon a plug? Just got to get it hot enough. Usually you need a blowtorch with a vintage Kmart propane tank. But whole video on that if you want to see how to decarbon a plug. I haven't replaced plugs forever. I just clean them. I don't know if you can blame the guy. This plug style of Briggs is horrible. It's so deep in there. You probably drop it 3 times just putting it in, you know. There we go. Attempt 2 with a spark plug fixed. We'll leave the choke completely off. Success, but we're not ready yet because I already reached my hand in here. Down the main chute, you're not supposed to reach your hand down, and felt the blade, and it is a butter knife. Okay, it's a little better than a butter knife, but we got to take that out and sharpen it and or replace it because it did come with an extra one, which is nice. That's like 50 bucks. Yep, got it. Takes a little while, but we'll get there. I won't mention any names, but somebody did send me a bunch of Loctite years ago, and I really appreciate it, so I want to say thank you if you're still watching. But I'd never see anybody use this Loctite, and this came in the kit, the chapstick. I call it the chapstick or the glue stick Loctite. And this is probably my favorite because it's just so easy to apply. You know, boom. You just smear it on instead of trying to drip it, you know, with the regular Loctite. It's just a chapstick tube that goes up and down, a glue stick tube. There's also a primer. I don't always use it. Yeah, you're supposed to use the primer as well. So put that on the other side. Makes it really bond, so the next person that tries to get this off is gonna hate me. There we go. Shout out to overly expensive tools. I have stripped out so many Allen wrenches. These are the Wera, you know, German-made Allen wrenches. They're not just a typical hex. They're actually kind of like they flare out. They're like a star. If you look at how they work, it's patented. It looks actually pretty cool. I bought them on a whim because I was so sick and tired of Allen wrenches slipping and breaking, and I've never looked back. Absolutely amazing. Worth the price, but pricey. Okay, before we run it, that oil is like water in this thing. So, viscosity breakdown. So instead of putting a wrench like this, what I usually like to do is you get an extension, fit it on there, and that lets you thread it on and off. Look at that, water. In these small engines that you run in the summer, your mowers, everything, there's only one oil you should be running, and that is straight weight SAE 30. You'll notice all owner manuals say run SAE 30, or you can run the others. But usually this is even highlighted. The others you just don't do because they have the viscosity breakdown. So a 1030, once it gets overheated in an air-cooled engine, it turns to 10 weight. So you're running in the summer with just 10 weight oil, causing all this damage to your engine. Stop it. This isn't even warm. I mean, this is water. I mean, it's barely warm just from outside, but I mean, That's just straight water. That's not good for your engine. There's one main thing you're going to look for if you're going to buy a chipper for yourself is belt driven. You do not want direct drive. See in there, there's a belt that actually spins the flywheel and chipper blades and everything else. This right here is a Troy Belt Tomahawk, probably the best consumer grade semi-professional unit you can buy. This is an 8 horsepower. 8 horsepower minimum is what you want for a chipper to chip anything over 2 inches in diameter. You know, you'll see these small ones that say they do 3. No, they don't. They will not. This one has a chipper hopper and also just a debris hopper, which is kind of nice with a bunch of hammers in there that just hammer it up. So this is a belt driver unit. You can tell there's going to be a big belt back there. So what it is a centrifugal clutch. So once that gets up to speed, it spins the belt, grabs the belt. What that allows you to do versus a direct drive you can tell because the engine will be mounted directly behind here. What it allows it to do is slip under load. So you hit a heavy branch, it doesn't directly just hit the motor. It hits the belt and it can slip if it needs to. That is key. I have had numerous direct drive ones that have sheared the crankshaft, just the crankshaft on the back of the engine, sheared it straight off. You throw rods, you threw everything else. They're just horrible units. They're super uncomfortable. They're super vibration. And most of the time, you can't even sharpen the blades because you can't take the blades off without, you know, there's not a little door, without taking the entire engine off the backside and the flywheel and everything apart. Nightmare. Get a belt drive. Let's, we have some dry wood here. I think half's dry, half's wet. It was half dead, half alive. But we're going to chip this up. This is about max you can do. It's about 3, maybe 3¼ inches for this 10 horsepower. We'll see how it handles it. Really quick chipper hack. So obviously the diameter is 3½ inches that you can fit through, but you run into these nodes of these branches, and a lot of these smaller branches, they just bend over, no big deal. When you start getting some of these bigger ones, they don't bend over as easy, and yeah, you can cut them off and then chip that piece separately, but what I like to do is you score it. Just score it with a chainsaw. You do that on these, and then when you're pushing it in, what will happen is it'll just snap and just fold along with everything else and just go right in. You don't have to worry about it. You got your safeties on? So much better than loppers, you know? Look at that. Even thick stuff. I mean, little stuff is no big deal.